Okay, it looks like we still have a few folks signing on, but I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us at this kind of late night webinar. My name is Chris Hunter. I'm a program services specialist at StopWaste, which is a public agency in Alameda County. So if you are an Alameda County homeowner looking to learn more about indoor air quality and comfort, then you are in the right place. If you live in Alameda County and you're not a homeowner, or if you live elsewhere in the Bay Area, we still are happy you're here, and we have a lot of great information for you. So we have some great speakers that we'll be getting to in just a minute. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. This is recorded. I see your question already. And we will not be stopping for questions throughout. So if you have any questions, feel free to just enter them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. And we'll try to answer them, just in the chat real time. And any questions we can't get to, we will have time at the end for that. And otherwise, you should all be muted. And I think we can go ahead and get started. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeffery Liang, who is the program manager for the BayREN Home Plus program. So Jeffery, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris, for that introduction. As Chris said, I am the manager of the BayREN single family program. And so I will kind of be guiding you through today. And sorry, here we go. So we'll just cover a few things today. First of all, covering who is BayREN. And then we'll kind of have a couple of different items. One, we'll talk about what are the ways our home, the indoor air quality can be affected by our home. We have scientists from the Lawrence Berkeley National Labs who can talk about some of the studies that they've done. I'll come back and speak a little bit about what we know about building science and how we can use that science to improve the quality, indoor air quality in our homes. And then we'll talk about what are the programs, rebates, and resources that are available. And we are shooting to finish the presentation portion about 45 minutes, so we can allow for enough time. So again, please type your questions into the Q&A. And I think, Chris, if there is something that needs to be clarified, please feel free to interrupt so we can make sure that the information is correct. But otherwise, we'll try to save more of the specific questions to the end, and we'll have all the panelists be able to answer. So let's get started. So first of all, BayREN is the Bay Area Regional Energy Network. This is a collaboration of the 9 Bay Area counties, as you can see on the map here. And we receive funds from the California Public Utilities Commission. So whenever you pay your energy bill, there is this public purpose program surcharge on your bill. That is a small fee that goes back to the state to run these programs, to funds the energy efficiency programs, to help improve the environment for everyone. So we are a local government and government collaboration. And so we've been in effect since 2013. And in the time, the programs have changed a little bit since 2013, but over these last 7 years, we have helped 10,000 homes make upgrades to to upgrade their energy efficiency and their performance. And we've given out over $21 million in rebates. So, you may not have heard of us as an organization, but we are out there and helping people make improvements to their home. And so in this time, what we find is a lot of common issues. And here are 8 of the, some of the most common ones. And I've actually been working on energy efficiency since 2009. And inevitably, when we go and talk to people who've kind of gone through these programs in its many iterations, we hear a lot of these things. Actually, couple of years ago, I did a workshop with a homeowner in Rockridge, and she had a great quote. She said, it was so drafty in this house that it felt like we were camping outside every day. She had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at that time. And she just said, you know, because of how drafty it was, the wind blowing through, and then the heater kicking on, kept on waking up their kids. And one of the benefits of doing some improvements to her home is that it was actually a lot quieter. Things stayed the same temperature throughout. That's another one that we hear often, you know, for people who live in homes with 2 stories. We hear that, you know, in the summer they can barely sleep upstairs, or they have to, you know, sleep in the basement. And sometimes in the winter, it's so cold that they can see their breath. These are common issues that we hear because of how our homes are built. And luckily, there's great solutions. One of the few other ones that I just want to quickly point out is some of these health and safety ones, like unsafe carbon monoxide levels. We'll go a little more into that. I have a 3-year-old, and we're expecting another baby in September. And this was actually some of the biggest issues. This is why I'm so passionate about this issue of indoor air quality and health in the homes, because I know as I'm holding my child that I can hear her breathe faster and she's more susceptible. And so we want to, you know, be sure that we're addressing carbon monoxide levels, mold and mildew, any of these things that might cause health issues in the future. So as I mentioned, indoor air quality. So what's surprising to a lot of people is indoor air quality is 2 to 5 times worse than outdoor air quality, according to the EPA. And we spend, and justifiably, we spend a lot of time you know, making sure that industries and businesses don't pollute. But a lot of people don't realize that there are things in the home that can cause asthma and other health issues. And so as we are looking at health, you know, how do we improve our health? Indoor air quality is one of the places we should look first. Not only that, this is before COVID-19, but you know, even before that, we spend 90% of our days in buildings. And so, you know, maybe even more now. And so that, you know, not only is it potentially worse at home, but we may have more exposure. And as I've said, children are more susceptible. As I said, I'm a new dad, so I get to put up a picture of my daughter. But yeah, I have a lot of friends my age who have kids as well. And this is the reason I tell them that they should be concerned, I should get their homes checked out. So, you know, as I mentioned, I wanted to bring in Rengie Chan from Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, you know, just down the street, well, in Alameda County. And she is from the Indoor Environment Group. And Rengie, if you could unmute yourself and take it away.
Well, thank you for the introduction. I'm going to get on the camera for just a couple minutes to say hi. I'm a research scientist working at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. We are right above campus. My group work on indoor air quality issues in residential buildings, commercial buildings, schools. We look at retrofits, we look at new construction, so really a whole range of the spectrum. Next. So when we think about indoor air quality, Jeffrey mentioned that there's a whole range of things to think about. We like to put up the 6 icons. We think good indoor air quality means the air need to be fresh. You need to be comfortable. There shouldn't be any odor in the air, toxic chemicals, allergens, and free of dampness and mold. So those are the 6 key elements of good indoor air quality. And how do we reduce indoor air quality risk? We think of if you can remove the source, so source reduction, elimination, that will be the best things to do. Then came source ventilation. So we know that you're cooking in the kitchen, so you need a range to take care of that. In the bathroom, there's a lot of moisture, so we need a bath fan. And then next, we want to look at dwelling unit ventilation. It's pretty important for new homes that we're building now that are very airtight. And then comes the filtration, air cleaning. And once the air pollutants are already in the air, you use these ways to remove them. So next. So when we think about the health in the home environment, there's really a long list of things to think about. There's allergies, asthma, home safety. Jeffrey mentioned the CO that he's concerned about. Pets, lead, mold, radon, not a big concern in our area, but for the rest of the US, in some areas, there's a very big concerns. Chemicals, so this can be your VOCs. There's also something called the SVOC. So these are not as volatile, the semi-volatile compounds, so the phthalates you may have heard of as kind of the SVOC. So some of it is volatile, some of it can stick onto particles in the air. We worry about secondhand and third-hand smoke. So secondhand smoke, I think we all know what that is. Third-hand smoke is if you smoke in a room, there will be residuals that stick to walls or soft surfaces, and you can still be exposed to the nicotine. So that's third-hand smoke. And then extreme temperature is something to worry about more and more. And biodiversity is something good to think about. Sometimes we make an environment too clean, so we're kind of too far on that spectrum. Next. So now in COVID, I know that all of us are now reading scientific literature. Sometimes you may find that, oh, this paper come out, the news will report it, and we'll see one thing, and then next day another paper come out, another news article is saying something else. So, and these sort of thing happens in science all the time, which is why we do literature review every so often. And very recently, we finished this review looking at the question, how have energy efficiency retrofits, such as the one that BayREN is running, and it can span a full spectrum of how complex these retrofits are, influence the indoor environmental quality in homes. Next. So in this review, we're really looking at the energy efficiency retrofit program effects on indoor environmental quality, IEQ, and health outcomes. So what are the outcomes that we look at? We look at a change in indoor pollutants. So it can be VOC and formaldehyde, maybe one that you're familiar with. NO2 will be from cooking. If you have a gas stove, you cook. As you combust the gas, it could create NO2. And particulate matter, PM, is one that you may have heard of. Changes in indoor temperatures as we improve the energy efficiency. A lot of time they do air sealing, insulation, so they will improve comfort. Report dampness and mold. So energy retrofit often will reduce, do some air sealing, remove cold spots. So that should be good for dampness and mold. And also, more ventilation will have an effect on dampness mold. We look at asthma and other respiratory health symptoms. And finally, some of these studies look at the effects on mental health and overall health. So here is an example of what we found. It's looking at dampness and mold in the previous slide, and also now you're looking at asthma. So you can see, like from the previous slides, the dampness and mold, we see a lot of the green bars. That means that we found that homes that went through an energy efficiency retrofit program have improved the dampness and mold conditions. So fewer homes reporting dampness and mold, and then the extent is a lot less. So for asthma, the results are a little bit more mixed. Generally, it's harder to measure because these are sometimes rely on self-reported or rely on getting the hospital records and things like that. So we see a more mixed outcome. If you were to focus on retrofits that goes a little bit further, so these are the retrofit that did plus vent. So those are the retrofit that added ventilation, a green retrofit, a retrofit that focus on bringing warmth to occupants. Among those, we do see a tendency for asthma symptoms to improve. Next. So energy efficiency retrofit can reduce or eliminate sources of indoor air pollutants. just mentioned that the occurrence and extent of dampness and mold can be reduced because some programs will repair water leaks if they found it, and they will add thermal insulation to the building envelopes, and also reduce the prevalence of cold indoor surfaces where mold and dampness more mold growth will be found. These programs often take care of the combustion sources, and I think it's required in BayREN to do a combustion safety test. So they'll take care of that for you. And air sealing of building envelopes, it can reduce when the outdoor air quality is bad, such as when we're wildfire. If you can seal up the building envelope better, that will better protect you from wildfire smoke. And then every day you'll be better protected from outdoor air pollutants such as ozone, vehicle exhaust. Next. So the importance of source control. So those are the range hood, so where you cook, and also the bath fan. I call that source control. For a range hood, it's important because as you cook, you generate particulate matter, and these are generally generated from the cooking itself, not from the burning of natural gas. So you may, thinking about what if I get rid of my old gas stove and get an electric one. Still, the PM is still a concern, and we will recommend using a range hood. And there are also other gaseous irritants that are generated when you cook with oil. So oil, and you heat it up, will form aldehydes, and one of them is called acrolein. So again, whatever fuel that you're using, you still need to use a range hood to exhaust that to outside. And finally, if you do use gas for cooking, you need to worry about nitrogen dioxide. In bathroom areas, we mentioned that odor and moisture is very important to remove from your home. So it's a good opportunity to install those bath fans. Modern ones are really quiet and low energy use, so very good options to add. Next. My group have done a lot of work looking at range hood airflow and capture efficiency. You may have in your home one that looks like the picture. It's a microwave combo units. If you are buying one, you may consider the sound and speed. Those are usually, you can go to a website and look at those. And consider looking at the medium speeds. Sometimes looking at the low speed is not enough to get to the removal that we'll like. So take a look at the medium speed and the sound and see if you can, or you can go to, when the store reopens, go test it on it. If you're buying a range hood, then consider buying one that covers the front. So you can see the microwave right now doesn't really cover the front. So if you have the microwave situation, then try to cook at the back. You can probably tell from experience that it can remove more of the odor and smoke. For over the range microwave, yeah, definitely think about that, even though I know most people cook from the front. So that's one way to get higher capture efficiency without replacing it. Next. So now after we take care of the source ventilation, we will think about dwelling unit ventilation. These are meant to ventilate your whole house, not just at the source. So if you were to buy a new homes in California, they all come standard. They all have mechanical ventilation. They all have high efficiency filtration. Those are the 4-inch filter. Now, existing homes are not built as tight, so the need for a whole dwelling ventilation is a little bit less and depends on your situation. I think you call BayREN and find a contractor out there, do an assessment for your home, see if it's that needed. We did a study of new homes, and we did find that homes with mechanical ventilations, so these are the homes that we study that were built between 2011, 2017, they all have mechanical ventilation, and we found lower formaldehyde compared to homes that were built in 2002, 2005. That was measured a while back, almost 10 years ago. The PM were also lower, great. Similar NO2, but the surprising thing is the new homes that we visited that was built between 2011, 2017, all those have a gas stove. So, but they also all have a range hood, and they're all exhausted to outside. So it comes to say, and versus the 2002 and 2005 homes, those were mostly electric homes. So we can show you that you can achieve pretty low level NO2 if you use your range hood, you have one that's exhaust to outside. Next. Then we come to our filtration options. So if you are installing a new system, you can consider asking the option of adding a 4-inch filters. So those are much less pressure drop, meaning it'll be more efficient to run. And you have to remember to change filter every 2 to 4 months. And if you click next, you can also think about using a portable unit. Maybe you're not ready to upgrade your forced air system. Then your options are buying a portable HEPA filter if you want to do a filter out the PM, especially important for during wildfire season. So things to look out for will be pick one that's Energy Star. There's a lot of options out there. I would pick one that is good for the room size. So think about, am I mostly concerned when my kids go to bed, then buy one that's good for the bedroom, or I want one that can filter the living room too. Then the living room might be bigger, connect to the kitchen and so on. So you really need to think about room size, and it should describe pretty easily on the box and can figure that out. One final point is that if you're buying a new portable air cleaners, go to the California Air Resources Board website. They have a list of certified products. These are the ones that don't emit ozone. We don't think emitting ozone is a good idea as a way to clean the air. So take a look at that if you're concerned. I think that might be my slides. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Rengie. And we did see a couple of questions come in on the chat, and we'll come back to those at the end. We can also provide the contact information if you are interested in contacting Rengie. And so just wanted, now that we've heard what are the issues that we see in our home, want to go into what are the ways we should address it. And kind of first thing is, how do we find what are the issues? My wife is a nurse at Stanford, and she every now and then she comes back from work and tells me about, she vents to me about a patient who comes in and says, oh, I know what I need, just give me this drug. And it's really fun because she's gone to school, she's knows the science, and to have someone come in and say, oh, I know better than you is hard. And in some ways, that's kind of what we do with, a lot of people do with their homes. Oftentimes, the window and solar industry has done a great job of marketing, but a lot of times people say, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to change the windows. What we should do instead is kind of take this medical approach to our home. You can think of these tools as kind of the diagnostic tools for our home. This one on the right here blows air in or out of the house and sees how fast it leaks out. And we'll hear some statistics in a few minutes about how much it is, but this is how contractors can know. This is the same thing with our duct systems. It blows air in or out of the ducts and sees how fast they leak. And again, we'll give you some more information about that. But this is really the smart way to figure out what's the best thing to do for your home. And what do we find out when we do things like this? Most people are surprised that, that our homes actually, if you added up all the holes in the house that leak air, it'd probably be the size of a hula hoop. So think of that, especially in the summer or in the winter when you have your heat or your AC going, and you essentially have a hole the size of a hula hoop where you're throwing all that air that you cooled or heated right out into the environment. Where are these holes? They're often these little cracks throughout the whole house. So anywhere where there's a plumbing penetration, one of the major ones is recessed lights. If you kind of held up an infrared thermometer to your roof, to your ceiling on certain times, often it would look like Swiss cheese because all these are often uninsulated, and that hot air that in the winter that you've heated up will escape into the attic and then out of the house. So that's one major way. Those are supposed to be actually insulated. Not only that, are you losing air out of the house, but you're also drawing cold air from different places. So like often I've been in homes that have done these tests, and you hold your hand next to the electric outlet. So all coming in from places like the outlet up from the basement. And so one of the major things that people should do, one of the most effective things, is something called air sealing. Simply a contractor going in and sealing up all these little holes where all that cold air or hot air is escaping your house. Number two, insulation. I think most people have heard about it, but how many people really look in their crawl space in the attic and their walls? If you see something like this is your insulation is pretty much useless, because really the insulation needs to cover all 6 sides of this cavity to be effective, because air is like water. It's not going to go somewhere where there's a barrier. It'll go in all the gaps. And so so think of it kind of like the blanket for your house. If you're sleeping and you're all that, you don't have that blanket, you're just losing all that body heat into the environment. Same with insulation. Not only does it keep heat in during the winter, but oftentimes when people have the issue of the second floor being hot, it's because the hot air is coming in from the attic into the rest of the house. What we should see is actually something like this, like freshly fallen snow, preferably 12, I think 14 inches is code now, but the more the better, because that's going to keep the hot air where you want it, and the cold air will keep the temperature where you want it to be. And this is a third kind of major one that we see, and especially has health implications. Our duct systems, on average, leak 30%. So, and that is the average. So we've actually seen numbers as high as 60 and 70%. And we have a joke, one of the corny jokes that I have is, duct tape is good for everything but sealing ducts. And actually by California code, you're not supposed to use duct tape to seal up ducts, because this is what happens. As soon as it gets hot and cold, that tape starts to fail. And then you get leaks. And what you're seeing here in this middle picture, this dark spot, is actually, there's a leak behind that, and that yellow insulation is acting as a filter. And so that's dirty air that's sucked in from, this looks like a crawl space, sucked into this system through the insulation, and then distributed throughout the house. And so not only is it kind of leaking air into the space and making the rats and spiders very happy, but you're drawing all that potentially asthmagen, dirty air, and sucking it throughout, distributing it throughout the rest of the house. What you're supposed to actually use is called mastic. This is a glue or paste that actually seals things much better, and that's what you find in code. And then moving on, so talked about a little the safety aspect. This is actually in one of my old colleagues' house. What you see here is a water heater that has this gap in it. And what it's supposed to do is air is supposed to mix in with the exhaust, and it's supposed to go up this flue and out of the house. But there are situations where, think about like Thanksgiving or Christmas. You have a lot of people on the house. You have people taking showers, the heaters running, maybe the laundry's going. All these things suck air out of the house. And so when you have that, you create this pressure difference that air needs to get back into the house some way. And sometimes when that happens, that air that's supposed to go out and up out of the flue comes back down and rolls out of the this gap here. And you'll see when this happens, you'll see rust here, because it's that water vapor that's collecting on the bottom here. And that means, all these exhaust gases can be leaked back to the house, and potentially, oftentimes these are in the basement along with your duct system, can get sucked into the rest of the house. This is why we'll talk about our participating contractors in the rebate program, but that's why they're so important. They run these tests to make sure that this doesn't happen, because energy efficiency is not worth it if it would cause any health issue, any safety issues. This is actually, kind of the same thing. What the furnace. Again, we want to replace these because oftentimes they're not very efficient, but also want to make sure that they have the right filters, as Rengie mentioned, and that they're running properly. Oh, sorry, this is kind of a little, I must have repeated my slides, but this is one of our contractors doing these tests to check that there's no gas leaks. Again, checking for gas leaks and looking at the air handler to make sure that it's properly sealed and those gases aren't getting sucked into the rest of the house. And then, as Rengie mentioned, cooking is another potential source of pollutants in the home. And that's why we want to check and make sure, the combustion is, it's sucked, we're not getting too much carbon monoxide leakage. One amazing statistic I heard was that children who live in a home with a gas stove are 42% more likely to get asthma. After I heard that, and I love cooking, I unfortunately cannot, I rent in San Francisco, so I do have a gas stove. And so I have not let my daughter get too close to the stove when I'm cooking, and I always turn on the range hood, because this is, especially if you have any spillage, then some of the gases can be heavier than air, and that gas can collect more around the ground and become more dangerous. This is one of my personal heroes, Anthony Bourdain, and you can see here he's actually cooking on induction, and this is actually what professional chefs learn on, and we'll talk about the rebates that we have available for that. But again, the whole idea is try to reduce the amount, the sources of bad indoor air quality, and part of that is by reducing the combustion byproducts. And it's not going to remove everything, of course. Like when you heat up oil, that causes different particulate matter. But in the cases where we can, we try to remove the sources as much as possible. And so, kind of in that vein, we're as we are looking at more and more at reducing that gas that's burned in the house, we have some great options. I'm not going to go into these, but these are this is something called a heat pump water heater. Instead of gas water heater, it actually is 300% efficient, because instead of generating heat, it moves heat from one place to another. Same idea for these. We see a lot of these in Asia and Europe. They're like ductless mini splits, and they're again another way to, they're a heat pump. They move air, hot air from outside to move heat in and out of the home, so it can actually act as both heating and cooling. Touched on the induction cooktops, and then we actually are starting to, kind of the last thing is clothes dryers often run on gas, so we now have options for that. So there is obviously a lot of information, and just the good thing is the BayREN program, again, we are a government program, so our goal is we don't have any other objective but to help residents make their homes more healthy and energy efficient. And so I'm not going to go into each of these. These are just the rebates that we have available, and I will ask Chris to send out the information about these rebates. And so just wanted to show you, we are offering rebates to address these issues: the duct sealing, the replacement, the insulation, the air sealing, all these things to be, not only help the energy side of it, which is how we're funded, but we see that all these things have a health impact, because if we're better able to control how air flows through the house, then we can not only make it more energy efficient, but try to be able to make the home healthier. So again, here's the more efficient heating and cooling, water heating as well. And I just wanted to mention, heat pump water heat, you'll probably start to hear more about this in the future, because we starting in March, we offered $1,000 for it. And then there's another program that is giving another $1,000 direct to the contractors. So that's already $2,000 of rebates off the top. And the great thing, and here are the appliance rebates. So, the induction cooktop and the heat pump clothes dryers, $300 rebate for each of those. Just wanted to mention, we also give some bonus rebates. One of the things that's good is, when the contractors really know what they're doing, they can actually reduce the size of your systems. Most of the contractors out there in the world look at your house and say, your house is this many square feet, you need this many tons of heating or air conditioning. But what they, if you're actually calculating, how much really should go in each place, and you're reducing the amount of waste in duct leakage, then you can often reduce the size of your systems. And so we're actually giving money for that, and we're currently we're also trying to kind of get everything back to jump started, and we are offering $1,000 extra if you're doing a heating and cooling measure along with a building shell measure, that being like insulation or air sealing. So please, if you're interested, please act quickly. I'm going to kind of go through the rest of this pretty quickly so we have more time for questions, but the key to our program is having contractors that are trained and we vet them. These are kind of like the doctors of the program. They have to go through education. We track them, we do QA, QC on them, and they are really the guys and gals who can really take a look at your particular home and determine the right solution for you. And you can go to our website, BayREN Residential, and you can find these contractors. But we know that it can be difficult just looking at a list. So we also provide help, and actually I'll go into that later. I'm going to skip through this one. If you have questions about financing, please do talk to us, and I will provide the information for no-cost helpline, energy advisor line, but they can walk you through any financing if you need it. So we know that not everyone is ready to make all these decisions at once. It's a lot of information, we know. So we have some options to get you started. First, if you go to our website, we have online energy efficient evaluation. So if you take it, it's pretty sure, I think, about 10 questions. And then when you complete it, you can get an energy efficiency kit mailed out to you that has these items to get you started. And so with that, you can start to get a sense of where you're using energy in your home. But another option is we have a great local nonprofit called Rising Sun, and we have Kiri from Rising Sun on the line on this webinar to be able to explain a little bit more. So Kiri, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey, and good evening, everyone. My name is Kiri, and I am here on behalf of Rising Sun Center for Opportunity to share a little bit about our organization and our Green House Call program, which is the no-cost water and energy efficiency upgrade service that we offer to help Bay Area residents reduce their ecological footprint and to lower their utility bills. At Rising Sun, our mission is to empower individuals to achieve environmental and economic sustainability for themselves and their communities. We offer two programs aimed at providing youth and adults the training and experience necessary to access sustainable career pathways and to maximize their potential. Opportunity Build is our pre-apprenticeship program. It's designed to help adults enter the building trades. And Climate Careers is our program for young adults through which we offer our no-cost greenhouse call program. Next slide. Oh, there we go. I think we tap one more time. There we go. Or a couple more times. Okay, so through our Climate Careers program, young adults from their local communities are trained in energy efficiency and water conservation to become energy specialists. During a typical year without COVID-19, our energy specialists would perform greenhouse calls during the summer months to help residents lower their utility bills. This service is available to you because Alameda County is a BayREN partner, and it is available to homeowners and renters regardless of income. So the first step, our energy specialists would do a water and energy assessment of your home, a full home walkthrough. We would check where the best opportunities are to save water and energy in your home, look at windows, appliances, and even test your toilet for leaks. Then step 2, based on that assessment, our team will offer whatever water and energy efficiency devices that you are eligible for, such as LEDs, smart power strips, bath and kitchen sink aerators, and shower heads. If you want any of them, our energy specialists will install those devices for you right then. And then step 3, the greenhouse call is completed once the energy specialist team educates you by offering you tips and rebates such as BayREN's Home Plus program to help lower your utility bills and maximize the efficacy of your new water and energy efficiency devices. Next slide, please. You might need to tap it a few times to get everything to show up. Due to COVID-19, however, our 2020 program is a bit different. We are offering a no contact program by mailing no cost energy efficiency kits directly to your home. Receiving your kit is still at no cost to you and still very simple. We would just need you to complete a greenhouse call survey to assess your home. You can do this either online or over the phone. Then you will receive your energy efficiency kit in the mail. Within your kit, we will include personalized tips, programs, and information about rebates, as well as information on using your devices that can help you save even more. Next slide, please. You can sign up for your greenhouse call by one of 2 ways. Actually, let me chat the link to everybody. You can take the survey online by visiting this link here, or even visiting our website. Or you can also call us at the number listed here on the slide to complete the survey over the phone with one of our employees. It's very simple, and that is it for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Carrie. So again, they are a great local nonprofit based in Oakland, so please support them and get some free energy efficiency items and advice while you're at it. So just wanted to follow up. You know, that again, that's one great way to get a little bit more information about your building, especially with some help from local youth. But if you're looking to move even more, get even more information about your house, there's a great program called Home Energy Score. This is a Department of Energy program that is essentially miles per gallon for your house. An assessor can come out and be able to look at your house and be able to identify what are some kind of 1 to 10 how well your house is doing, and then give you the home, kind of what are the facts about your home, and then what are the recommendations for getting better. So what's great is there's a $200 assessment rebate. And if you make any improvements, then they can come back and rescore your home, and you would get another additional $100. But it's that usually covers most, if not all, of the costs of the assessment. And it's a great way to just find out more information, so that when you do decide you want to do something, you have a little bit more information to move forward. So again, all this can be confusing. What we try to do is we've contracted with this, essentially we've created this home energy advisor service. You can call them. They are independent. They have no, they are not there to direct you to any particular contractor, they're just there to answer your questions. So they can help you, figure out what's wrong. They can direct you to the resources I just mentioned. If you decide that you want to move forward and find a contractor, they can help you find a contractor, because we know, we have 72 contractors out there, and they can help you find one that's, maybe if you're looking more for insulation and you want someone that's in your county, they can help you narrow down your search. And they also are aware of all the other complementary programs. So if you're looking for water conservation, if you're looking for financing, if you're looking for additional rebates on particular solar or batteries, they have a database that is meant to help you find those solutions. And so you can give them a call at this number, 866-878-6008, or you can go to our website and contact them via email. So to sum it up, these are your really, how do you get started? You can get personalized help through the advisor. If you know you already want to move forward, you can go to our website and find a contractor. You can go to our website for all this information. And with that, I think we have time for questions. So Chris, if you want to kind of lead that, and you can direct the questions to each person, that'd be great.
Great, thank you everyone. That was a great presentation. So just a reminder, we will be sending out the slides and the recording. Well, actually, I'm not sure if we'll send out the recording, but we'll definitely send out the slides and the contact info of all the speakers if you missed anything during that. So we have some good questions. Before I dive into them, if you open up the Q&A tab, and there should be a tab that says answered, you can see the questions that we've already answered. I'll try to read those as well, but I want to start with the open questions right now. So first we had a question just asking Rengie to elaborate on VOCs and explain a little bit more about what those are. She wrote that VOCs are volatile organic compounds in homes that includes formaldehyde emitted from building materials as the main concern. And if you're cleaning or bought a new carpet, then more ventilation can help remove VOCs from your home. Rengie, do you have anything else to add on that?
No, I think that's good. And I think that's a follow-up question about, if you're cleaning, what kind of green cleaning product. There's a great link that I think Emily shared. Take a look at it.
Great. So this is probably a good one for Jeffrey, or actually we have Tony Jung, who is one of our home energy advisors, also on the line. The question is, can you put insulation in the attic if you have knob and tube wiring?
Okay, so you want to know if you can put insulation. There's two approaches to when you're dealing with knob and tube wiring. It could be evaluated by a C10 electrician. This is usually working with an insulation contractor to verify that it's safe to insulate over knob and tube wiring. So that's one possibility. Generally, the safer path is to remove it altogether and put in newer wiring and then insulate completely over it. So there's different choices to follow. This is where talking with an advisor about your specific home situation, and then reaching out to some of the participating contractors in the program. They follow best practices and try and find the best solution that works for you and within your budget. for that.
Great, thank you, Tony. So next question here. Not sure who this is best for, maybe Rengie. How can you tell if you have asbestos in your ducts, and are ducts the most likely place for asbestos?
I bought a home recently and my ducts had asbestos. I can tell from the exposed part, so but I think the best way is to call someone out, and I think it's, and BayREN could correct me, is this part of the assessment, or can the energy advisor figure this out?
In general, for asbestos, you can't diagnose it over the phone very easily. There are some general characteristics that if you look at it, it might give you a clue, but this is where you would reach out to a heating contractor to have that discussion. If it is verified, then, then you would probably may want to remove it if you're going to do anything that's going to affect the state of that material. So generally when you look at like duct systems, it might be like a white cast material. So it looks sort of like, a white cast. It's like a white material, or it might look like corrugated cardboard that's wrapped around the pipe. Those are typically in homes that were built essentially before 1980, that it may show up on the ducting system or around the furnace. So if you have a fairly old system, especially 1970 and older, there's a high likelihood there's asbestos used on the system. The important thing about asbestos, if you don't touch it, you leave it alone, it's inert, it doesn't do anything. It's only when you start to cut into it, break it up, demolish it, you break it up and it becomes what we call friable. So the fibers get released in the air, and that's when it becomes an air quality hazard for you because you breathe it in for that. So if you have asbestos, leave it alone. If it's verified through testing, or it is, there are EPA protocols for remediation of asbestos. The advisors can go into more details of sort of that process, understand it. We're here to help you understand this process, what it's involved, and then reaching the right people that can remove it safely from your home, because this is where you live. You want it to be safe, comfortable. When you're going to be doing something that will affect asbestos, potentially asbestos material, you want to make sure you follow the right safety steps. Just like lead material, you want to make sure it's properly dealt with lead safe practices.
Great, thank you so much, Tony. So this is the type of knowledge that you get when you call the home energy advisor. They are experts in the field. Appreciate you being on, Tony. And I apologize for the car alarm outside. So we have one more question here about replacing a gas stove with induction. And Rebecca is asking if she would need a plumber to disconnect and seal a gas pipe, and an electrician to install an outlet, as well as a merchant to remove a current stove and install a new one. And so she's just concerned about having to hire multiple different contractors, and asks if there's any resource which brings all of this together in a smooth process for the homeowner. So I think probably Tony or Jeffrey would be the best ones for that question.
Yes, it is challenging when you do something, what we call fuel substitution or switching fuel sources. There is a transition step that is challenging because you're involving multiple trades for that. Old homes may not have been wired to support the electrical for an induction stove. And then of course, capping the gas line, you do want to cap it off because I've found many homes where they remove the gas line, but they didn't actually cap it off, and it had a little bit of a leak, and thus it caused actually a hazard because it built up gas in the home when no one was there. So having that gas line capped by a licensed plumber is an important step in removing that source of gas leak. So just shutting and leaving the gas valve there is not safe enough. I've encountered many homes where they thought that was enough, but later on they discovered it was a gas leak in the home itself, and they had to physically have it capped, and ventilate the house. So the gas line must be capped. It really is there for safety. Leaving the old shutoff there is not enough to protect you from a gas leak. And then putting in an electric stove, you do need to have appropriate electricity to support that stove. So an electrician will have to evaluate, make sure that your electrical panel, the main, can support the electrical needs, such as space for it, or rerouting some breakers to give you the space, and then run a dedicated power line for your new induction stove for that. This is why BayREN's offering a rebate of $300. We're going to help offset some of those costs by offering that incentive for that. Reach out to the advisor service, check the webpage to read up more on the rebates for induction stoves for that. That $300 rebate is really to help offset some of that cost and a little bit of that complexity. As more people are learning about induction stoves, I think you'll find more people will offer a combined service. It's very new right now, so it takes a little time to get that experience in place.
And as you see, I'm totally, we don't have, and we can develop some of these resources, but you know, having that personal and you know, expertise like Tony, being able to walk you through that process, that's why we want to offer make sure people know that there's this free energy advisor service available. So I think Tony did a great job of illustrating that point. Chris, I think we also see some questions in the chat. So I know there's
so I see one. Oh, well, I guess we have two more that came in that haven't been answered yet.
Okay.
We only have a few minutes left. So if you have to leave at 9, I understand. I'm happy to stay on a few minutes extra and answer any questions. Hopefully the other speakers are as well, if need be. So we have a question here about the assessors, and are the assessor industry certified, and is it like a home purchase inspection?
We do have the program manager for that, for the home energy score. If Emily, you want to.
Still on the line?
Sure, I answered this in the chat, but I can answer it so everyone can hear, or the Q&A panel. The home energy score assessors do have to go through a U.S. Department of Energy score training and hold a valid license. There's a lot of licenses that qualify for it, but basically it does have to be some sort of building professional. It couldn't be an average person off the street who decides to become a home energy score inspector or assessor. Also, every home energy score that's done through the BayREN program has quality control done by BayREN. So there's a lot of kind of checks and balances to make sure that you're receiving a quality assessment. It is not like a home inspection in that it only covers energy features. So things like windows, insulation, it does take solar into account, heating equipment, etc. But it won't cover things like structural issues or pest issues, or sort of those general home, playing on the word, but yeah, it doesn't cover kind of that holistic home view that a typical home inspection would do. So it's really meant to be a complement to either a home inspection that specifically discusses energy efficiency and makes those recommendations, because most home inspections don't include that information in detail, or it's often used as a great first step if folks are hearing all this information and going, wow, this is so much, how do I know what is good for my specific home? And we've had some of those questions come in. You can get an assessor out there and they can really help you understand your exact situation and what might your best options be.
Oh, this is Tony. I also want to add one other note about assessors in general. There are two types. There's the home energy score, which they come in, they do, they inspect the equipment, do a check of your home and the equipment. There's another level of assessment. It's done through what we call a rater or BPI building analyst. Think of this as the next level of inspecting the home. What you saw early in the presentation, the blower door, the duct test, a Building Performance Institute, BPI building analyst, we call them raters in their program. They do the combustion safety testing, but they also offer services to evaluate your home. So do you want to measure how much your home is leaking? Is it the size of that hula hoop, or is it bigger? How much is your duct leaking? Is it leaking 30% on average, or is it leaking 50%? If you want to know and you want to measure it, the BPI building analyst will be able to measure them and give you quantified information of how much is leaking. So in one sense, you know how much you have to fix it by. So a building analyst gives you an even more in-depth level. So that blower door, that duct test, especially if you have concerns about the home and you really want to get true measurements, the raters, which are found on our website, BayRENresidential.org, or talk to the advisor about this to have that home evaluation done. So the building analyst will do a measured approach. The home energy scores, which is also good because they look at all the equipment and gauge the age, the quality of it, and help you decide, is the equipment too old? Is it beyond the average life of this typical equipment? So each of these services are very beneficial. Deciding which one's appropriate, talk to the advisors. We can help you sort of determine, do you need home energy score? Just to understand your home in general. Do you want to do this level of testing, especially if you have indoor air quality concerns? Going the next level to a rater, to do a building analyst, to do a whole house evaluation that does the energy score plus these measured tests might be worth considering for that.
Great, thank you, Emily and Tony, for that. We have just 2 more questions, and I realize we are a little bit over time, so I apologize. If you have, I think we're just going to get through these last 2 questions, and if you have anything else after that, feel free to email any of the speakers, and I will be sending out that contact info in the morning. So we have a question from Adam. We live in a typical 100-year-old Berkeley Victorian house. Does degradation of building materials, such as lath and plaster walls, contribute to poor air quality? So Rengie, actually, I think that might be addressed to you.
Well, I think if the wall is peeling away, are we concerned about lead paint might be a potential one? And then if you have exposed building materials, I'll be concerned about moisture control, be absorbing a lot of moisture into the building material and lead to further degradation. And then the pathways for pets to get into your home. So yes, I think I'm concerned. I will recommend taking care of it.
Great. And then we have one final question from Monica. Are the presence of silverfish an indicator of poor insulation and or moisture collection? And anyone can go ahead and answer that one.
Well, silverfish is an interesting, it's a pest. It's eating essentially paper products is what they're looking for. So what they look for is sort of, wood fibrous products for that. The fact that they're in your house doesn't necessarily mean, it's a problem per se, but definitely you should be aware of it because they'll find their way in. You do need to figure out why they're present. So, perhaps cleaning. So indoor air quality, deal with sources, make sure your house is relatively dust-free, clear of clutter that might be attracting them for that. When you control things like moisture, it makes the home less hospitable for them to be around. So, figure out where you have damp spots, there are cold surfaces, relative humidity. Rengie mentioned it. The comfort range of humans is essentially 40 to 60% relative humidity. So if you get a weather thermometer station that shows temperature and relative humidity, relatively inexpensive. You find it at most stores. You can order it online. I do recommend buy local when you do this. It helps the local businesses. Have that, find out what is your average relative humidity in your room of your house. And that when you take that can of soda out of the fridge, because it's so cold, moisture gets attracted to that can of soda. That's the cold surface. That's the single glazed window, the uninsulated wall. Because it's cold, it's going to pull moisture straight to it and condense on that surface. So warming those surfaces prevents the moisture from collecting on them and thus minimizes mold growth, and pests love it. Dust mites need a certain amount of humidity to grow. By managing your humidity in 40 to 60, below 70%, it keeps those pests at bay. It makes it less hospitable for them to want to be in your home and bothering you.
All right, thank you so much. Hopefully everyone's questions got answered. And again, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have more questions, or definitely do contact a home energy advisor and really get some of that personal approach to be able to answer all of your questions. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you again to everyone for joining us tonight. In the morning, I will send out the slides and some of the additional resources that we mentioned. And hope you can all go forward and make some of these changes in your own home. So have a great night. Thank you, everyone.